In this example, we're going to check for outliers in the following data sets. Then we're going to check our answers creating a modified box plot. Now I've already entered these into list 1 here on the left hand side and list 2 on the right hand side. And I went ahead and I calculated some one variable statistics. So you'll see those one variable statistics here. I'm going to cursor down to get the 5-number summary. What we're actually going to need for this is just Q1 and Q3. So Q1 is 10 for this one, and Q3 is 20. We can do a little bit of work here then with the IQR. So the IQR is going to be 20 minus 10, or 10. To find the upper fence, what we're going to do is we're going to take Q3, which is 20, and add 1.5 times the IQR. So that's the 20 right here, Q3, and then this 10 is the IQR. It happens so that Q1 is also 10, but let's not get this confused here. So the IQR is what belongs right here. That'll be 20 plus 15 then, and that shouldn't be a dot there, that should be just a 10, which is 35. If we look at our data set, we see one piece of data. So there is one high outlier, one piece of data that's larger than 35, and that's the 45 here. If there were two pieces larger than 35, then that would be another outlier. Let's try to find the lower fence now. The lower fence, you're going to start with Q1, which is 10, minus 1.5 times the IQR, which is 10. So this is 10 minus 15, which is negative 5. If we look at our data set, we don't have any numbers less than negative 5. That'd be silly in this case. Well, actually it wouldn't be too bad because this is temperature, so that would actually be pretty good. I was thinking this was going to be in days. But no, this would be okay. But there's nothing lower than negative 5 is the point here. So there's not going to be a low outlier. The question specifically asks us to use a modified box plot. So I'm going to go to my statistics plot by hitting second y equals. I'm going to look to see that my plot 1 is turned on. You can see here that the on is highlighted, the off is not. I don't want a histogram here. What I want is a modified box plot. It's this one right here on the left with the little dots to the right hand side. I also want to use list 1, so I'll hit second 1 here. The mark for the outlier can be whatever you'd like. I like the little square here. Then we're going to hit zoom 9. Hopefully we'll hit zoom 9 one of these days. There we go. And we're given the box plot here. Notice that there is one high outlier. The calculator will put a mark by the high outlier and then disregard it for the rest of the data. Let's work with the second set of data, which is on final exam scores. So what we need to do is we need to figure out the 5-number summary. So that'll be statistics, calculate, we'll hit enter, and we'll do list 2. That's where my data is entered in. If you have yours entered in list 1, then you just use list 1 here. So we can cursor down to the 5-number summary. We really only need Q1, which is 80, and Q3, which is 88. We'll use that to find the IQR. So the IQR is 88 minus 80, which is 8. To find the upper fence, we're going to take Q3, which is 88, plus 1.5 times the IQR. So that's going to be 88 plus 12, which is 100. So what we want to do is we want to look and see whether any scores are above 100. And you can see here that they're not. It doesn't make much sense here to be more than 100, but hey, maybe this is at 150 or something, who knows. So there is no upper outlier or high outlier. To calculate the lower fence, we're going to use Q1, which is 80, minus 1.5 times the IQR. Well, that's 80 minus 12, which is 68. So we're going to look for some pieces of data that are lower than 68. Here we see a 68. And as I look through, I don't see anything lower than a 68. We're going to ask the calculator now to graph this by hitting second y equals. We'll hit enter for plot 1. We already have the correct plot type, modified box plot, we want to hit second 2, and that'll get us to list 2 here. That's where I've entered my data in. Once again, if you entered yours in list 1, then you would want to use a list 1 here. We need to hit zoom 9 again, so we'll hit zoom 9, that's the statistics zoom, and the calculator will automatically pick the best viewing window for us, or at least what it thinks the best viewing window is. And you can see here that on either end, there's not any other outliers, there's no extra mark here. And our data shows that as well, that the upper fence is 100, the lower fence is 68, and none of the scores are above the upper fence or below the lower fence.